superintendent and staff, and as I pointed out, we have some of the smartest people in the building maybe sitting here all in their nice green shirts, so we're glad that you guys are
So
here.
you're not from the boardrooms?
Yeah, I was talking about the four of you, of course.
Right.
So
You really
with
know
that,
better than that. Right.
I'll turn it over to you guys. We appreciate you taking the time to share this
Yes.
information with the board, and we know it's going to be a very enlightening presentation for us, so
Well, we
thank you.
absolutely appreciate the invitation. We know that you're anxious to see the connection between the technology that goes on with our students in the home and how we take it from the classroom to the home and the other way around as well. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Dr. Mel Pace. He will introduce his team today, and you're going to find yourselves in a very interactive environment today, so I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to introduce the entire green team. You will get the experience part of that in just a few minutes. Okay, this is Carol Etter. She's our instructional technology supervisor, also known as my wife at work, okay? Which is a tough job, believe me. Over here we have Dave, Anthony, and Ed. They work in the background. Ed and Dave do a lot of the data support and everything else for all of the instructional software programs that we deal with. Anthony does a lot of the technical support on smartboards and a lot of the other technology, as well as the back end of Office 365. So that's a brain trust right there. These four folks right here are from the print shop: Ted, Penny, Francisco, and Jose. They're all the print shop staff, and a lot of people forget we have that. Last year they ran 8.4 million copies to save the district, and several $100,000 in expenses for that, including Penny, who pretty much single-handedly ran all of the end-of-year exam packets for all of the tests that we gave in the district. So that was an amazing job. Over on the end, we have Francis and Cindy. They are our media center support staff. They make sure that all of the new books get put into the system, as well as go out and help clean up media centers, reorganize, and do things like that. This is Odalis and Judy. They are our Focus Gradebook and Parent Portal support staff, and they are two of the most patient people in the entire world.
We go home grumpy.
Yeah. And then we have Martha Bowers. Martha does a lot of the background work on the E-rate program. She files all the applications, handles all the audit packets and all that kind of thing. Then we have Pam Fordham. She is my secretary and bookkeeper. She does dual duty. And then Christina Butler is the newest member of our staff, and she's our new receptionist and is also taking over some additional duties. So that is the green team. Tonight you will hear from Scott Kaufman and Chris Coker. Our third technology resource teacher, Brenton Fundel, is on vacation in Michigan. We thought about doing him in on a Safari Live, but that's not really a piece of what we wanted to cover tonight, so we exited out of that. Guys, if some of you, I know you print shop guys, if you need to get back, you can do it. If not, you're perfectly welcome to stay. But that is the green team, and we are known as that in the schools. When we walk in the door, even the kids go, oh, that's a green shirt, he's here to help. And they feel perfectly comfortable asking any of these people for help, and that's one of our big goals.
Guys, thanks for taking the time to be here today. Thank you for all you do. And board, so you know, the reason you guys are sitting there and I'm here is because I was intimidated they'd be looking over my shoulder as I tried using a computer. So I asked to be able to hide.
Is it all color-coded?
Fortunately, I can block Carol from seeing what I'm doing.
But first of all, we would like seriously to thank the board for all of your support in instructional technology. Mr. Wheeler has been here with us through the entire journey as we moved into the 21st century classrooms.
Were you here before technology?
I was something for electricity, let me tell you.
But he's watched us as we've redesigned classrooms, redesigned media centers, done all that kind of thing. But even prior to my coming here, this district has always led the state in a number of areas of technology, okay? We were the first totally network district in the state. We were the first wireless capable network in the state. And all of that was done by Roz Reiser, my predecessor. Since I came in 2007, like I said, we have redesigned classrooms, we've redesigned media centers, we've done a lot of that kind of thing. And we have more than double the amount of digital content that is now available to our students. We were also the first district in Florida to offer any kind of digital content, which was the original United Streaming, which is now Discovery Education Streaming. So the district has been the first in a lot of things. Today, we currently provide more digital content to our folks than any other district in the state. And I know that because I work in other districts doing other kinds of things, and I'm amazed at what they don't do for their teachers. And so thank you for allowing us to do all of that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Chris and Scott, and you get to go to work.
All right. What you have before you is one of our digital learning platforms. You've probably heard mentioned Office 365, at least mentioned if you haven't had a chance to explore it yet. A portion of Office 365, there's a program in there known as OneNote. OneNote is a great note-taking app. It is organized very much like a digital notebook. And we decided tonight, because we're trying to showcase what students can take home, what students and parents can sit down and do together, and what resources they have, we're using this as our delivery mechanism because this is one of those very elements that they can take home.
This is all portal based.
Well, not even necessarily portal-based. It can be portal-based, it can be on your digital device like an iPad, it can be on your phone, it can be on your laptop at home. You can get to it pretty much anywhere you can get online.
But it's not a program like regular Microsoft Office.
It's both. You can get to it through the portal,
Okay.
or if you've installed it on your computer, which is what you guys are using, you're using the actual installed version tonight, you can do it both ways.
So do we buy that license for the entire district so anybody can load it in perpetuity, or is it a year by year, computer by computer license?
No, it's a part of our, what's known as our Microsoft EES agreement. So
Right.
Russell Holmes submits that, and
Mhm.
this is a kind of a, pretty much a no-charge add-on to that total licensing package. So that package is renewed annually, yes. But when our staff or students, they get 5 copies of full-blown Microsoft Office to download on 5 different devices at home at no charge as a part of that. So as long as they're a student or as long as they're a staff member, then they have access to that full-blown version at home on any of those 5 devices.
So they can load Office anything. So we've got Office for people to load on their computers.
Yes.
5 devices.
Office,
5 copies.
students, staff, teachers, everybody.
That's great. Okay, thank you.
So when we were delivered the charge, show what students can do at home, instead of us standing up and talking at you for the next hour, we decided to turn you into students. So sitting before you is what a student would have access to and what a student can see and do. So to get you started,
You realize you got a whole classroom of ADD.
Remember, you can't teach old dogs new dogs.
it's all good, it's all good.
Okay.
So, right before you on the first page, you're going to see this big graphic icon. And we have Britannica Online, Discovery Education, Safari Montage. We've got the Office 365 and the icons that go with it. These are some of the elements we're going to touch on tonight. To get you started, one of the major things we're showcasing is the diversity of what students have access to. So, simply in OneNote, as a teacher who may have given you this as your homework, I sat down, I clicked 2 buttons inside of OneNote, and I created a little welcome video.
OneNote. Tonight, you're going to use this platform as an exciting way to explore what students can do at home through different subjects like ELA and science, doing some research, and even flipping a math classroom. The best part is it's going to take you through all those different resources we have available for Osceola students to use at home. So get ready, buckle up, and let's jump in.
The file that we just played is the welcome video icon on the desktop right there in front of you. So all students who have access to it, to watch it at home, they simply double click it. If I were a teacher and gave notes about the homework, they could spin it around and say, hey Mom and Dad, can you help me with this? Right above it says your directions. Tonight you are going to go back to school. You will be a student, you will collaborate and complete various tasks across the curriculum and leverage a number of Osceola digital resources. Great and dandy, but what if I'm an ESOL student, my mom and dad don't speak Spanish? Or don't speak English, all they speak is Spanish. Well, I want you to do this on your screens. Follow right along with me. Grab your mouse, and what you're going to do is you're going to highlight from tonight. Apparently I'm on the wrong tool. You're going to highlight from tonight all the way down to resources. Let me remove those little marks real quick for you. I'm sorry.
You know how to do it, Phil? That's the best way to do it right there.
Draw. Eraser. There we go. So what I'm going to do, you can watch on your screens because it'll actually appear if I do it. So I'm going to highlight it. Watch behind me. I'm going to simply go up to Review. This is all accessible to students. I'm going to go to Translate and say Translate the selected text. Mom and Dad can speak, well, translated to French first, but what language would you like to see?
Lithuanian.
Lithuanian. Fantastic. So we're going to go to Lithuanian. It's changed.
Yes, I'm with Lithuania.
I simply click on the screen, I click Insert, now I have a Lithuanian translation on the fly.
Where'd you research, where's the research tab?
Okay, up across the top of your screen, you have Home, Insert, Draw, History, Review.
Review, oh, okay.
etc. So it's under Review.
Okay, got it.
So the main point we wanted to show you is that even though my teacher may speak only English, if I'm an ESOL student and I have to take stuff home and I need my mom and dad to help me with this, even with just the directions.
Actually, it changed on mine too, when it's supposed to do that.
Yes,
Okay.
we're all on the same document, by the
Gotcha,
way.
gotcha, gotcha.
We're going to be collaborating on this, so you're going to see changes that I might make. So,
He was worried about our abilities.
yes. So, to jump right in,
Jump away.
what I would like you to do you see the tabs right across the top where it says Welcome, ELA, Research, etc.? I'd like for you to click on your ELA activity tab. So we are going to start with ELA. To follow up on tonight's lesson, this would be your student at home reading these. To follow up on today's lesson, please listen to the recorded review attached and read through the accompanying notes. Then, click on the link below to open the poem Mother to Son by Langston Hughes. Read the poem for the extended and looking for the extended metaphor discussed in the review. Finally, click to the right of the poem and type an answer to tomorrow's discussion question. So this is very much an at-home. What are we leveraging? Well, first of all, the teachers recorded a brief review that the students can take home if they're not remembering or if they forgot their notes. It's already set up for them. Second, we're using Word Online, and you're about to go into it and take a look at the way it facilitates collaboration amongst students. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to click right over here on the ELA activity. Just follow along at this point. I'm going to tell you when to start doing in just a moment. And I want you to watch my screen as I play this recording about how the notes respond to the audio recording.
Good evening, everyone. This will be a brief review of some today's discussions about extended metaphors. Remember, this morning we defined extended metaphors as a comparison between two unlike things that continues throughout a series of sentences, a few paragraphs, or multiple lines in a poem. I really like Juna's explanation too. She said that an extended metaphor is not a single metaphor, but a string of images or comparisons that are all tied together. And don't forget that authors use extended metaphors to make a larger comparison between two things or ideas. Good luck with your poem tonight.
What did it do?
Follow the bullet points.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a student, if a teacher could give me a recording and a few notes that she gave in class, and as I listened to the recording, it kept me on pace, I'd have probably done better in school. Also, how do you think your ESOL students are going to respond to this?
Oh, well.
Yeah, a lot of support. They can go.
I have a question.
Please.
So, explain the training the teachers are getting and the expectation of implementation of this.
Well, let's see, so far Scott has done, 10 times 7, 70 workshops. Okay, by the end of the summer, between these two gentlemen, they will have trained over 1,400 people. Now, that's not all teachers, it's teachers and staff, because staff is also beginning to use this for a number of functions in their areas as well. But we will continue that throughout the year.
How many hours are they training?
The initial one with Scott is an hour, and then the one that Chris is doing is 2 hours.
So is this just supposed to be a tool they can use if they want, or is there a requirement that certain teachers use this?
It's not a requirement.
Beautiful. So it's time for you guys to jump in. See the blue link where it says click here to open the Word Online shared document? Click it.
Are we gonna monitor out of those 1,400 that have been trained, how they're using it, if they're using it, and what they're getting out
We
of
will,
it?
yes.
What the adoption rate is.
Mhm.
Because I hate to think we're training people for stuff they're not gonna use.
Well, we did a soft rollout on this last year,
Mhm.
and we had a number of high school teachers adopt right away. We've got some middle school folks over at the Kissimmee Middle School one-to-one ELA teachers and so forth. So there's already a sizable number of people out there.
Is
that
Kelly
Scott,
Cotton
they
using
work
this?
with. I can't answer, I don't know that for sure. I
She
don't know.
found if she's using it, she found 10 ways to do it better than everybody else.
Yeah, well, yes, and, yeah. Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
What's before you, if you look up on the top left, right up here on your screen, let me click on it so you can see the same thing too. On the top left, you're going to see it says Word Online. This is one of the components of Office 365. Every student and every teacher and every staff member now has access to Word, PowerPoint, and Excel in an online format. So even if they don't have the program at home, it's accessible. Even if they visit grandma's where it's not installed, they go to the portal, log in, and they have access to it.
What if they wanna save something they created?
It saves right into their OneDrive account. Absolutely. So what I would like for you guys to do, I'm not going to ask you for sake of time, etc. I'm not going to ask you to read the poem. But this might be an example of something students would be asked to do in a small group. But what I would like you to do, on the right-hand side over here, it says tomorrow's discussion question. What do you think the stairs in this poem represent? And essentially in the directions, what I want you to do is click underneath of this.
You're gonna have to edit.
Oh, thank you. Right up here, thank you, Scott. Up at the top, do you see the little edit in browser?
Yes.
Click that, please.
Okay.
It'll refresh for you, and you will be right down here like this.
Mhm.
So now, what I'd like for you to do is click somewhere in that box and type your name. What are you seeing happening?
All of us are doing it at the same time.
I
It
got
shows
Kelvin
it.
haircut.
Oh, I thought you were.
And we all have a color.
I thought you were asking me a question.
Everything is happening at the same time.
I like Kelvin haircut.
Exactly. Kelvin Harkin's a good student.
I was answering the question. The stairs.
Thank you, Ricky.
Ricky was being serious. Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Ricky Boo. All right. So the power for this, let's say the teacher sent the students home over the weekend and the students needed to collaborate on a document. They're working on a letter, they're writing a paper, they're working on a response to a poem. No more do they play the chase of the email game where they're trying to email each other 16 different versions of something. They literally have it in a centralized location and they can watch each other work together. Incredibly powerful.
I want to point out one other thing. Notice at the bottom, it says saved. It saves as you typed. You don't have to worry about clicking a save button, losing your data. It automatically saves to the cloud. And if they wanted to share it with their teacher, the teacher already has access. They just invite the teacher can monitor everything they're doing in the same document.
So I've got a question. So, school year starts about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. And then we'll get into the first 9 weeks, second 9 weeks, et cetera. At what time, what is a reasonable time frame for us to get some sort of an update on the utilization of this, how many students are using, how many teachers? I mean, would it be after the first 9 weeks, after this first semester? I mean, I don't know.
It would have to be semester time.
About the semester time, we can come back to you semester.
Yeah, I'd like to know how it's
Show you
used,
what
how it's,
the
how it's
document
used.
we've had, sure.
Yes.
Okay.
All
Because we're
right.
still training at the very beginning of the school year.
Okay.
Beautiful. Gentlemen, that's the ELA. What we'd like for you to do on the bottom of your screen down here, there's a purple icon with a white N on it.
There's two. One's got
There's
scissors,
one
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 doesn't.
has scissors, one does not. Do not click the scissors.
No scissors.
You don't need to use scissors. Click on the one with no
That's
scissors.
why I asked.
So it takes us back to this document. Everybody find it? You're good?
Mhm.
Beautiful. So let's move over to our research tab. It's green right up here at the top,
So-
next to ELA. So please just click on that
In a
one.
classroom, are we expecting students to do this on their digital devices?
They do.
Okay, okay.
This past, just as a very short anecdote, I worked with Discovery Education, or excuse me, Discovery Intermediate out in
Mhm.
Poinciana.
Mhm.
And we had classroom sets of iPads in 4 English classrooms. In every single one of the classrooms, the kids would walk in virtually every day and the teacher would say, go get your iPad, pull up your OneNote, I've already got your bell work in there waiting, please mark the text and be ready in 10 minutes with an answer. So the kids would literally pull the iPads and
Was
do
that a
it.
technology class, an English class?
English, standard English. In fact, 2 of the 4 classes were reading classes, so they were 1s and 2s and many ESOL students.
Great.
And just to go along with that, the ability to get that on your device, I mean, there's an app for everything we're showing you here. The kids could literally be doing their homework on the way home, on the bus ride home. So by the time they get there, they've already collaborated, they've already done their homework. Awesome.
Very cool.
All right, ready? All right, I'm going to take you through the next side. And that's going to be research. As a former media specialist, this is near and dear to my heart. So on the research tab, your directions are, as students are required to do research, they're in a number of different areas. In this scenario, you've been tasked by your teacher to do some preliminary fact-finding about a state of your choice. Now, when I was a student in about 4th grade, my teacher said, all right, everybody pick a state. You're going to use those encyclopedias. You're going to find some facts about your state, and you've got to write a report. So I, being the great student that I was, I went to the library. So proud of myself, I chose Connecticut, so I got the C volume out, opened it up, and there was about 15 pages on Connecticut. I was overwhelmed as an elementary school student because I didn't know what in that 15 pages I was supposed to write about. This, you're going to see very quickly, is differentiated very quickly for our students. So you can get an encyclopedia at the elementary level, middle school level, the high school level. So we're gonna just jump right in there. So where it says use Britannica to find 5 facts about your state, go ahead and click Britannica. And that's going to launch the website for us. And then choose one of the sites that we have in your area. You've all got districts, so just choose a school. And you will be able to select whether you want the elementary version, middle school, or high school. So go ahead and do that also.
Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, I got that too.
Nice.
I got that too.
All right, so I'm going to go back to my 4th grade year. Again, I'm trying to look for Connecticut. So I'm just going to type Connecticut up in the top. You're welcome to type in whatever state you want. Connecticut pops right up there. And as soon as Connecticut comes up, you see all the resources that are available to me. This is just like searching into an encyclopedia. Now, I've got the first result here that says Connecticut. I'm going to click it. And you can see that as an elementary school student who's doing some research, these are the key points that my teacher was asking me to look for. I remember my teacher said, in your report, talk about its geography, talk about its people, talk about the places, the economy. I could not find that information in all of the collegiate encyclopedias that my school had. So this is a way to very quickly differentiate and give it to our elementary school students on their level so that they can start working on those skills. Now, if this is too elementary for you, then not a problem. Right over here where it says reading level, just go from a level 1 to a level 2, or from a level 2 to a level 3. That will bump it up or bump it down depending on where you started. So as soon as I bump it up to a middle school level, you can see I still have the same kind of things off here to the side. People, economy, government, but now I've got a lot more information. So I'm getting the information that I need to be able to do my schoolwork correctly. You notice it's got some media. Those are free for me to use, royalty free for me to use for all of my projects. And there's some videos that I can use if I need to. But I want to direct your attention right up here, because these buttons right here are like little pieces of magic. The first one is going to let me save it to my account. It does what you think it's going to do. It's going to let you save. You've got a print, you've got email. But check out the one that's got a check mark next to it.
Okay, so
Yep, right up here at the top. If I click that check mark, I now can cite this document in a number of different formats. So we're teaching our kids, especially from the elementary level, when you research online, you need to cite your work.
I got a question.
Sure.
Your toolbar up there, right, you're pointing to,
Yes.
the check mark, et cetera.
Mhm.
Go ahead and click right there on Hawaii.
Up here, then to
Hawaii.
Yep.
You had to get there first.
Soto.
California.
You chose California? Did he answer your question?
Yes.
Just want to make sure you were good.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
So I'm able to quickly now cite and teach those kids that we do need to cite their work. And this is something that they often struggle with when they get their assignments and they're at home going, I don't know how to do my citations here. So this will help them. This will get them used to the idea of citing their work. Next to citations, there's a globe. And that does the same thing, almost like what you saw earlier. It opens up Google Translate. So I'm able to instantly translate this in a number of languages. I'm going to just choose Arabic for up here, and I just wait for it. And now if I'm a student in a classroom or at home, I've got this instantly translated. I can't tell you as a media specialist how many kids would come into my library, and I'd have one that just did not speak English. And instead of sitting there doing nothing while the rest of the kids did research, he was able to do it.
I got a question.
Yeah.
You bring up a really good point. As a media specialist, okay, you've got all this media here now, pretty much on a laptop. So tell me why media centers aren't obsolete.
Oh, they're not obsolete because they utilize these resources. That media specialist, or that media.
I didn't say media specialist.
Okay, that media center needs to evolve to be the hub of a school. It's not book checkouts, the way it traditionally was. We've got librarians versus kind of a media specialist thing. Those media centers need to become a hub of the school. It's all about customer service, and this is what needs to be done for our curriculum. So this is where the media centers need to be. If they're not here, you asked about training for teachers, those media specialists need to take that role on as their schools to also advocate for these kind of resources, because that's who the teachers look to. Okay?
To cite, I assume they're just copy and pasting.
Yep,
This ain't your father's media center.
that's right.
By the way, my father had a library.
Next to the globe, if I wanted to, of course it's not going to read it back in Arabic, so I need to go ahead and cancel my translation here. But next to the globe is a way for it to read it to me. As it reads, I'm just gonna point out, notice it doesn't sound as robotic as a lot of other sites do. This is pretty fluid.
American history is deeply rooted in Connecticut, one of the 13 original U.S.
I was really surprised how fluid that was for being a robot reading it to me, so I was happy with that. Next to that, you can make the text bigger and smaller for vision impaired, and that's Britannica. So if you were looking for 5 things to share, you could go to any one of those levels, pick out 5 things, and real quick, I want you to experience another thing that we've got available, and that is the board builder.
Now, let me just insert for a
Sure.
second. One of the things that we're trying to explain to our students is Google is fine to search for some stuff, okay? Like when I had horses, if I had an issue with a horse, I would go to Google. I could find a video about how to fix it. But it is not the best way to search for academic resources. So what we're trying to do is put the best of we can out in front of them and say, listen, when you're doing academic, because my grandson was doing that for a science fair project, I came home one night and they were looking at Google and they must have had 4,000 hits. Well, that sounds good, but you got to search through all those. I'm like, Brody, come here a minute. Popped up Britannica, put in the keyword that he was searching for. Bam, right there at his reading level was exactly what he needed in 30 seconds instead of them looking for hours through all that other stuff. So that's what we're trying to get our students to focus on.
Good point.
All right, I noticed that if I go way into board builder here, we're gonna run out of time. So I'm just gonna kind of demo it up here. Our students, through Discovery Education, have the ability to make virtual tri-boards, I think they're called. Is that trifold boards and virtual dioramas kind of thing. So up here, if I wanted to present my state project, I would just start with a blank board. I would call this, state project. Continue. And now I've got a virtual, I'm gonna go ahead and save that. I just saved into your account, Chris, wherever you are. You got this
Stuff on
now.
a flash drive thing?
He'll finish your work for you tonight.
Well, I could just send this straight to my teacher for grading
Okay.
or share it online. But you notice I get to pick my different themes. I'm gonna do a history theme for this one, and then go back and start adding items. Now through Discovery Education, I can start building this presentation. Where's my cursor? And I lost my edit. There it goes. Oops, not working. State projects. Save it. Actually, let me just pull up one of the ones that I've been working on here. You've got some other ones here, Chris?
No, you have more than you.
Oh, I have them in my account. Okay, so once you get the board presentation, I'm not gonna, here you can see I add different modules. The different modules, I can add content straight from the encyclopedias that are in Discovery Education. I can add videos that fit right in. I can add content that my teachers provided, photos. I can add text. So if you were reporting on 5 facts about your state, you would just go over here and say, here's my fact number 1, fact number 2, fact number 3. Your teacher then sees what your board is and offers their comments to give you feedback on that. So Board Builder kind of replaces those trifolds and replaces the traditional projects that we have our kids do.
And if you have a smart board in the room and you were going to have to present, you could
Oh, yeah.
email it to the teacher,
Yes.
boom,
And it's
boom,
up there,
it's
yeah.
all there and you're ready to go.
You just
Yes.
share right out of here. You don't
Yeah.
have to do it.
Absolutely.
You don't have to bring a USB drive.
And that's one of the things, well, absolutely, USB drives are a
Yeah.
done deal.
No, I
Right.
understand.
All right, next tab. Yes, okay, so while Chris pulls up math, I wanted to talk about flipped classroom, because we did label that math flipped. Flipped classrooms are a teaching strategy in which you're trying to get the students to do the bulk of their learning at home. We find that teachers do a lot of talking and they're almost like saying the same thing over and over. Well, if that's the kind of help that they're giving the students, then let's just record that, put it up there, let them watch the video on it, and then when they get ready to do the practice, that's when they come into school and actually sit down with a teacher and go over the practice. So the practice becomes much more valuable than the actual, okay, I think I get the concept.
Who provided the content for the flipped classroom? Was it Khan Academy?
For this one, we're doing Khan Academy, yes. For this one, we're leveraging our Safari montage, which has all this Khan Academy videos in it. So I just pulled up, here's a Khan Academy video on how to find the area of a triangle. And I'm going to turn it over to Chris, he'll explain the rest.
Essentially, In a flipped classroom, the learning takes place at home, where the student has a chance to explore it, do a little bit of thinking about it, and then the practice takes place in the classroom where it's guided. So in this case, we would simply click on the Safari Montage link. It's going to take us over here. The student would log in. There we go. There we go.
I can't remember.
We're not going
Or
to
you
play the
go.
whole video because honestly the video is about 10 minutes long and we don't have time to do that tonight. But, here we go. Oh, it's providing that. Yes. Wow, pop-ups. There we go. So it's going to start playing and you're going to get to see that I'm just going to show about maybe 20, 30
now
seconds.
know how to find the area of rectangles. What I want to do in this video is think about how we can find the areas of triangles. So we're starting here with a right triangle. It has a 90-degree angle right over here. Right triangle A, B, C.
I know. I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Now, so we come to class the next day, or at home even, and he says, then I want you to try this. Well, somebody asked earlier, is this available on devices other than just laptops? So what I've done is I mirrored the iPad, file, view, full screen, to the board. So what happens here is going to happen up there, and you're going to be able to see it, and you'll actually see it appear on yours. Would somebody like to try to do the math problem? Find the area for the triangle.
A squared plus. No, I don't.
Come on,
Good job, Ricky.
Here you go, sir.
No.
Oh, come on. No, okay.
No.
So, essentially, if we're
I
gonna,
think I know how to do it, but I don't want it on TV.
if we're gonna,
There you go.
so we're going to find the area. So if a student happens to have a personal device like an iPad at home and not a laptop, they can still do their work. And that's what we really wanted to show here, is that they're not tied into just a laptop or a desktop. The neat part is this is completely synced back into OneDrive. So it should be showing up on your screens as too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
So even if the student is working in a different platform, everything works together, which is really, really nice. So in the flipped classroom, the student can do some learning, explore a new concept, practice a few things. The teacher can actually go in and look at that evening to see who's done it, who hasn't, what time they did it. And then the next day, when they do the practice together, they've got the teacher right there. Because I can't tell you how often I went home when I was a student and did a whole bunch of practice, and I just practiced doing it wrong. And one of my favorite statements that I heard a teacher say just this past semester was, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice
Perfect.
makes permanent.
Perfect practice makes perfect.
Yes, it does. But practice without having some kind of support just makes something permanent. And it gets harder and harder to break those habits. Yes, sir.
I'm looking at your screen, I'm looking at my screen, and my toolbar is different than yours. I got the same content up there.
Let me see.
And
Okay.
Yeah, because you still have a problem on there.
We ended up over in the
That's
browser.
because you clicked on that Kardashian link. You weren't supposed to.
I wanted to update you.
Way to go, Jay.
There it is.
So now yours should look the same.
You got me figured out, Tim. I'll say it.
Yes.
I'm watching
Oh,
it.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Click right.
How many of our students
There.
go home and the
My
parents
math will be
go,
the same
I
spot.
want to help with math, but I don't know the math myself. I'm not strong enough in math myself.
Mhm.
These video links that the teacher can provide and say, this is how we're going to do our math, this is how we're going to do, are just as useful for the parents to help at home than they are for the students to help themselves. So that's another question that we get asked a lot, is what can we give parents that will help them strengthen areas that they're not comfortable helping with?
And the other thing is too, with things like our smart notebook software with smart recorder and things like that, the actual teacher can record it as they're doing it in class, and then they can post that up, so it doesn't have to be a third party. If you can't find an energetic Khan Academy presenter, then you might want to do your own. And we've got a number of teachers that go ahead of time over the summer and get their almost their entire year recorded prior to their semester starting. So.
I got a protest. This looks agriculture-based, which is clearly slanted towards Ricky.
All right, if you guys could
Are we
follow.
growing banana grass? We can
Make
do
sure you're on the
that.
science activity.
Here we
Yep.
go.
Notice there's in
Clarence
between.
went ahead.
Yes, it is.
Some
Just make sure you're on the
Some
science
cows in
activity.
here.
Yep, right up at the top, the orange tab,
Science
science.
activity.
Mhm.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and take science. Now, in a science, we need to do experiments. Now, if I do a traditional experiment with you that's agriculture-based, we're gonna sit here for 9 weeks and wait for something to grow real slow for us, and then we'll find our results. With the electronic resources, we're gonna grow tomatoes today. You say tomatoes, I say tomatoes, whatever, however you wanna do it. But we're going to be able to figure out through experimentation what are the conditions that you need to get the best, ripest tomatoes that you can get. So I'm going to actually lead you through this. On the Science tab, if you go ahead and click where it says 1 tomato, 2 tomato, it should launch us back into Discovery Science. Now Discovery Science is available for all elementary and all middle school students.
I got a question.
Ricky should.
Sure.
Previous screen where you had the matrix where we got to fill in the different things for different people. Where do you save it? I didn't see a save button, so if someone puts stuff in.
Very good.
That was very intuitive.
I've lost a lot of data.
It's okay. Then you're gonna appreciate my next answer. Long dead is the day of the save button.
Excuse me?
Long dead
There's no
is
more
the
save
day of the
buttons.
save button.
It saves.
It is saving constantly in the background, and it is syncing with the document that exists up in the cloud right now.
I get a kick out of present, because I did training all day today, sat down with the teachers, and they had to type things to each other and then try to send it. And they're like, but how do I send it back? How do I save it? And I'm like, you don't. It's just saved. They already have it. You don't, there's no save buttons anymore. You type and it saves.
It's like a security.
It's gonna take adults some time to get over that concept.
But
Yeah.
the kids have it, let me tell you,
The
the
kids
kids,
have got it.
they
They
got it.
don't worry about it at all.
So if you knew nothing about tomatoes, we've got a nice introduction here. We're not going to bore you with reading all this introduction, but here's your introduction. It gives you a little background about what you're going to do. It tells you what your mission is. You can tell that this is geared towards elementary and middle school. So your mission is to, eGreen needs growing instructions for its new variety. Your mission, find out what conditions produce the heaviest crop of tomatoes. So it goes through and lets you explore and talks about what pH is, what acidity and bases are, things like that. So there's an explorer plan, but I want you to click where it says experiment, because we're just going to go through.
This is a really gifted group, they can
This
just
is a
jump right to
gifted
the
group. We're going to
experience.
go right to the fun stuff. You know, the kids want to do that anyway.
You have a lot of experiential background.
So here you've
I'm a
got your
terrible farmer.
experiment set up, and on the left-hand side, you see your variables. You're going to have to choose a soil type. There's 3 to choose from. You're going to have to choose whether you want peat moss or not. You're going to have to choose whether you want to make your soil acidic or put bases in it or remain neutral. Do you want heavy fertilizer, normal fertilizer, or none? And then finally, what kind of watering? Normal watering or heavy watering? So go ahead and pick some variables that you think will work best. And as soon as you think you've got a winning combination, click the go button right there at the bottom. And let's see how many kilograms of tomatoes you actually get by with.
And go to the go button.
Yep. Click the go button. You're going to watch as soon as those tomatoes start springing up, they will get bigger, they will get redder.
That's the coolest thing I ever heard.
And if you've got the,
Jay, yours are
you'll
dying.
put them on the.
Look, Kelvin did better than me.
These are not good enough for my,
But look at, but you look at the color of the leaves,
Jake actually
Yeah,
knows
you
everything.
said
Yeah.
tomatoes,
No,
all
Kelvin,
that
how many did you
stuff.
end up with?
You're gonna do
10.
good.
You
You're
got
gonna do
10 kilograms. Can anybody beat 10?
good. No, I can't.
Hold on.
No,
hold
wait for Clarence.
What?
Oh, we got 6.
Six,
Yes,
13.
That's what I had to.
13.
We got 13 over here.
13 over here.
Get off my technique.
Okay, you're gonna let me try one more time?
Yeah, we'll give you another go.
Okay, now remember, in the scientific method, you only change one variable. So look through your variables and see which one you think will make the biggest difference
Do we
in
go
your
back
crop,
to get
and
to that?
only change one.
Now,
Reset.
if we had you doing this as a student, I would actually have you record your variables inside of your OneNote so that I could
So there you
so
go.
that I could get your data. And we set this up ahead of time, but I don't think we're going to have time to actually track this out and figure it out. So just know that we have the data recording component built in. But go ahead and try this experiment one more time. Hit reset. See if you can beat your previous score, and that'll give you a hint.
You don't want to
You
change it,
touched
do
it.
you?
Oh,
No,
You
no,
touched it.
I touched it as if I had
Oh,
my
yeah,
back.
oh, touchscreen, yes, oh, yeah. Yeah, we do, and our kids do that. They come to school wanting to know why everything didn't swipe.
Okay, let's see if I can make it.
See if you can find one variable.
Oh, you
Just
want me to
one.
make
Exact same
better?
One
Was
change
that more than last
What
time?
did you do?
You got the
Think
exact
like
same
We got the
outcome.
exact same
Darn.
thing.
Should I change the soil pH, Mama?
Oh, don't ask me.
Does anybody know?
I got 7 this time.
Collaborate.
We said this was a collaborative activity, so yeah, you could do that.
I don't think it's gonna work.
So I noticed that this is
Collaboration is cheating.
Discovery Science part of the Office
Do you have the
365?
No, Discovery Science is completely separated.
Is it a
You can
different
talk to that.
license?
Yeah, all right, and we have Discovery Education Streaming and then Discovery Education Science Supplemental. And yes, it is a different license, and we have it for our K through 8s, but then when some of our high school basic science teachers saw it, they're like, we need that too. So we do also license for, I think, 9th and 10th grade for
So
basic
is
science
the
teachers.
license based on
Okay, how
per
do they do?
student?
Number of students, yes.
You got 8
I
here.
knew it would be less because of the water.
That's
Yeah,
not your
see,
story.
that
So
was,
I know,
yeah, you were right
that's-
there.
yeah, I
You were
knew.
probably about as good as it could get,
All
yeah.
right.
Okay, so how do we do?
I'm going again.
You have 20?
Go for it.
No, he has
Kelvin,
three.
how'd you do?
Yeah.
Oh, really? It is, it's hard, isn't it?
How many did you get?
everything.
Oh, well, see, you're supposed to do that, you didn't fall
That was
directions.
the opposite.
What happens if I do all this?
My tomatoes don't
No,
work
I get
at
I'm fully aware of where I am.
That's the list I got.
Alright, so if you're curious,
See, they start, yeah, they start changing.
if you're curious what the winning combination is, we've
Yes.
got it up here, we got it up to 20. That's about as high as I've seen. You had to add an acid. Most of the other things were normalized. You did need peat, you did need loam as your soil.
I had loam.
So-
Let the record reflect, I had 18.
Parents has 20.
Do you have 20?
Parents has 20.
Yeah,
But you,
we won't let
but
the
you can
record
see
reflect.
how engaging this is. The kids, especially some of the other ones, there are experiments, virtual experiments on earth science, life science, all of the different curriculum areas that they hit in science. There are virtual
I'm
experiments
the
that
old
go
fashioned.
along
When I
with
see an
it.
experiment like this, I want to see kids get their hands dirty.
Well,
No,
you can do that too. Here's the thing.
You know,
I wouldn't
sometimes when they get to start here, it
Yeah.
makes them want to go and do that.
Okay.
Okay, it's a good motivator, it really is.
And one of the things I love about a virtual lab, because we're talking about what can go home, this is the equalizer.
Mhm.
I grew up in a home that was, I was very benefited. My parents supplied all the things I needed, they were able to spend time with me, so if I brought home an experiment where I was supposed to grow a tomato plant, they'd help me with it. I know for a fact, a good portion of our students in the district wouldn't get that help.
Right.
This allows them to do it. So even if this is the take-home portion, how experienced are they now to come in and do it for real?
In fairness, a lot of those kids aren't getting help also. Because
Be
they
honest,
got
how-
help at home, they're just not going home telling their parents, I need help.
Yeah, yeah.
Be honest, how many of you knew what loam was when I said loam?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I never even heard of it.
That's good. I mean,
Okay.
if you hear it for the first time in here, you're gonna go, wait a minute, why is this loam so much better than sandy soil or the clay soil? It's gonna make you start
It's got
thinking about.
something to do with Ricky's cows.
What do you mean, Claire?
Okay, moving right along.
Now, right before we jump to our next
They're
slide,
organic material.
one of my favorite virtual, we didn't bring it in today, but one of my favorite virtual labs is frog dissection.
Mhm.
And
I've seen that.
Frog
yeah,
You guys showed
I
it
think
to
we
us.
showed that one to you
Yes, you
before.
did.
Yeah.
We wanted to go a slightly different route today, just for variety, but the frog dissection is great because it, again, that's not necessarily always something you can do. And now everybody can do it, and you can take it home and review anatomy, and it takes into a whole
There's no
higher level.
formaldehyde.
Exactly, exactly. So,
Yeah, this is just another element of pretty much of simulation training.
Mhm. Absolutely, yep.
And again, we are talking about resources the parents can learn from along with their kids. We may not have strong science parents.
I wouldn't let my kids use this because I'd be doing it myself. Get away. Time to go to bed.
All right, so on the last tab, we just finished science. We're gonna keep going.
You should have a link on like ESPN.com for a lot of kids.
On the last tab, we've got a few key takeaways here. We wanted to give you a chance to kind of reflect on the things that we've talked about, and I broke it into two basic groups. We've got certain features that we've touched today that give universal access to a digital curriculum. These curriculums are getting digital. We're not going to be able to stop that train. It's going to happen. The challenge that we have is to make sure that we're not going to leave anybody behind. We are trying to hit as many people as we can. We've got differentiated instruction to hit all levels. We've got accessibility features that hit all of our disabilities, so we're trying not to leave anybody behind. Like Dr. Pei said, every student gets access to these Office 365 tools. They all get to use the cloud. They all get to use these tools that let them communicate better with their classmates and their teachers. Can you scroll down just a little bit, because it's not on this side. The other strategies that we gave you were strategies that help you accelerate learning. Some of this technology that we're showing, that doesn't necessarily provide universal access, but they accelerate the learning. So we talked about flipped classrooms. We talked about what it's like to foster a collaboration and learn from each other. Muy bien.
Alguien estaba hablando español.
We've got-
Kelvin.
It was translating your text, so be careful.
We've got student-centered learning. So students are going home and they're actually owning the different learning styles that they have. And then finally, all of this can be used with the BYOD. It's important to get these devices into our students' hands. Not, like he said, we've got some privileged kids, they've got those technology pieces at home, they've got everything. But what we found is most kids, even the struggling ones, will have a phone. Even if they don't have internet at home, they have a phone.
Sure.
So when we start talking about providing universal tools that kids can use, at least we're trying to get everybody to have some internet access where they can reach these tools.
Okay, this is great. Melba, I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it, but I guess the second meeting in January, that's after the first semester, if we could get some feedback from some teachers, how they're using it, and we
Yes.
know how many teachers are using it, how they're using, even students, parents, that, you know, I mean, I'm just curious, because I think this is great, but there's nothing I hate more than spending money for something that doesn't get used, and or training a bunch of people on stuff that they don't use or it's not effective, which is not at all to suggest that this won't be used or won't be effective, but I think we'd like to know what the ROI is.
Well, maybe that's, go ahead, Brett.
I was just gonna say, once we navigate to the Outlook for the teachers, this is gonna kind of be more integrated in all.
It's gonna help them make a
Correct.
stronger connection. That
It
and a
will
few
be
more
a
things
stronger
that we're gonna
connection.
share
I
with
think
you here
that's
in a
what I
minute.
was
I talked to Melba the other day about marketing for a totally different tool from this. And we may have to really start thinking about that on these things, not just the tools she's talking about, but things that have a parent and student at home connection of where you
Well,
have to
just-
do some marketing
We're
or
having
some
our,
informational stuff.
our academic fairs
Mhm.
that are coming up soon. This is definitely something that
Our
we need
open
to bring.
houses.
But
Well,
you,
open houses, the parents really won't go, because they wanna see the teacher, they wanna know this.
guess who's
But our
at those?
academic
It's the parents who
fairs-
have
It's like
the, all the
center.
stuff at
The
home.
media center, a lot of these parents though are waiting to sign their kids up for buses and there's lines, this is another thing they can do while they're waiting in line.
But just so you know, ever since 2007, every digital piece that we've purchased has had, we require that they have a home access capacity.
Sure.
If they don't do that, we don't buy it. So everything that we offer, and that was one of the points I was gonna make. And these are just some of the things that we focus on and we highlight and train. We also have NSYNC and a number of others, and Angela's got you may have already seen this, but.
Now, if I
commu-
went into a regular third grade classroom
Mhm.
though, how many, and there's 18 kids in there,
Mhm.
how many parents do you think would know this existed, percentage-wise?
Well, right now, not very many because
But
it's.
you said since '07 we've been
Well,
buying.
since '07, a
So
lot of our
that's
parents
8
are
years.
familiar with Discovery, they are familiar with Britannica Online and those things. Those are the ones we've had the
And
longest.
NSYNC in the past,
And
what, 2
NSYNC,
years,
right,
we've
yeah,
really
yeah.
pushed.
So-
Yes.
And Edmodo, yeah, a
Edmodo,
ton
yeah.
of our teachers are used, probably
But-
over
but-
half our
Is
teachers use
Gaggle
Edmodo.
one?
But Clarence,
Gaggle's
you're
no
right,
longer
was no
available.
because the teachers know it, but the parents,
Yeah, I'm
many
talking
of
about
them
the
parents.
don't. Yes,
Yeah.
you're absolutely correct.
And again, for the last couple of years,
No.
and then for the last couple of years, in our student calendars that go home, there's always been a page in there all about the electronic resources with all the links and everything else that go to it. This year, Dana has put together an additional resource that has not only the things we're talked about here, but a lot of the other components that the district makes available to them. And what we're about to do is what Scott's got up on the screen right now. This is something called ClassLink Launchpad. And one of the issues, to your point, one of the issues is, a lot of teachers, when we say, well, have you done this or have you done that? They're like, well, I didn't know we had that. Okay, and even things like Discovery that we've had so long, we will encounter
The teacher
teachers
doesn't know, I
during the year
can't
that
believe
says that.
parents know.
Okay, so what we're doing is, this is going to be what's called a single sign-on portal. Okay, so every resource, and these are provisioned according to the school, according to the grade level, according to whatever the school has accessible. So there are things that we purchase as a district,
County logo up there? I was-
because they're using it right now and we're not. That's it, so that was
Okay,
a. Okay. It was the only place I could find
It's
that I
fine,
could
okay,
actually
okay.
get you a
That
picture.
answers it. We're not using
Okay,
it.
so for instance, we pay for Discovery, we pay for Discovery Science, we pay for Safari Content, we pay for Britannica as a district, okay? But some of our schools have Achieve 3000, Kid Biz, Team Biz, et cetera. Some have accelerated readers, some of them have Compass Learning, that kind of thing. So what this will do is pulling out of our student information system, it will say, okay, Clarence Thacker is at Thacker Avenue Elementary School in 3rd grade, and they have a license for this, 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 and this, in addition to these district grants. So Clarence's picture up here would only reflect those icons for those programs that he's provisioned to have access to. Tim may be in a high school and they've got a whole nother array of things, so his might be much more comprehensive. But this also will be for teachers and staff. So when a teacher looks at their page, it shows every resource they have available. So if they see a discovery icon, even if they're brand new to the district, they've never seen it before, we say, click it, see what it is. And what happens is they no longer have to know another password, another username, another password. They've logged in to their laptop or their computer. That Active Directory login that they used is automatically passing their credentials to every one of these programs whenever they click on them. So that's always been an issue, especially our primary teachers really don't have as high a level of confidence in their kids sometimes as I do. And so they're like, but that's a lot for them to remember, They don't have to worry about that anymore. They have one username, and their username is always their ID number, so it's right there.
I got a question.
Okay, yes.
And this is all good, but let's take it one step further. Let's say we've got students in high school that are gonna be migrating to college or some other. Is there a platform, let's say the state university system uses for students, that we can then somehow have something similar or use for our juniors and seniors, so that way they are starting to acclimate away from the K-12
Right.
into the higher ed. So that way, I mean, where the technology is seamless, integrated, and that way they are successful going forward versus just doing what we do, and now they gotta, start. Now granted, their learning curve is not as large as some others because they've grown up with this stuff, but is there something like that?
Okay, the 3 biggest LMSs out there, learning management systems, are Moodle, which we use, Canvas, which is fairly new and UCF just switched over to, and Blackboard. Okay, so we are already using one of those same platforms that University of South Florida and other schools have used for a number of years.
Okay.
Now, a number of them are moving to Canvas because it's got a whole lot of new cool features and things like that. In fact, Dave is our Moodle support person, and we're about ready to go through another major upgrade of the Moodle servers and things here shortly. So,
Should we go to Canvas? I don't.
okay,
That's
Moodle is open source and does not cost us a dime except part of Dave's salary.
That's
Okay, and it has most of the functions and features that are used in the other learning management systems.
Can you
So-
transfer the skills then? From
Yes.
one to the
Yeah,
other?
That's what I was gonna
Absolutely.
say. I'm
Absolutely.
currently taking classes and I'm enrolled in Canvas. And
At UCF.
no, I'm going through the American College of Education.
Okay.
I'm doing a program there, but the skills that you have here with the collaboration skills and turning in your assignments online, all of that are transferable skills to go into any of these.
Okay.
So Moodle,
Okay.
Canvas, and Blackboard will all have those same style of classroom learning, and it's just a matter of where the buttons are and what they look like. That's the only thing that really changes.
Mel,
Yes.
this screen that you were talking about with the single sign-on, that's for staff only
No.
or for students as well?
Students, teachers, and staff.
And this is new,
Yeah, we have not even actually
Brand new.
signed this contract yet.
right?
We're negotiating
We're
this.
negotiating right now,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, that's gonna be huge, by the way.
It
And
is.
that's probably why you guys are excited about it, I get it. But one of the biggest challenges I even had last year with Lance is trying to remember all the accounts that I had to go
Yeah.
to, what all the passwords were, and I have 7,000 other things in businesses that I have to keep track of too. Having one single sign-on and knowing how to get into it, including his grades and all this type of stuff, is gonna be really valuable from a parent perspective.
Well, and two, having it pop right up here and say Britannica, Discovery, et cetera, right there. So I know we've had kids go home and the parents say, well, did you go to the library and get a book? Well, they didn't have one. Well, in our Destiny program, you can actually look up their library and see if they had a book or not. But that's another old story. But this will really help the parents and our teachers keep those resources right out there in front of them, so that they don't just always go back to what they've always done. They're like, ooh, let me try this new one over here. I haven't done this one yet. Okay? So again, we've got so much digital content, and at some point you could say, well, you can almost get too much.
Right.
Well, one of the great things is too, this also is tied into HMH, okay, and Pearson, and most of the other major vendors are working with these guys, so all of those other programs would show up there as well.
And this is gonna include like Moby Max and all that
Right,
stuff,
yeah.
right?
So, again, maybe 15 schools have Moby Max, so only those 15 schools, our SIS would say, okay, West Side has it, okay, you guys can get it to it. but Eastlake doesn't, so it wouldn't show up on there.
What's the main portal that the parents would go to get to this?
This one?
I don't like, what would?
We haven't
know
set
that
that up yet. It'll be
It's not set
it'll
up.
be something like Osceola dot, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then when you get to that, you will use the same login that the kids would use for any computer at school, Active Directory
We
login,
can put it
and then
in
you'll go
places.
right there.
Going back to what the gentlemen were talking about as well, though, with open houses, one of the challenges that we have is that we're always trying to get people back into the schools to see things. So we started these academic fairs. We had some success with them, but we also had a lower attendance rate than we'd like. But we're always going to have that because we always want everybody to show up. The open houses really are, they do serve as that captive audience. Everybody's coming. Not everybody, but in theory, everybody's coming. We have a larger turnout there than anywhere else, and I can't imagine why we wouldn't have these set up in the media center, inviting the parents to come through. So, and I'm not talking about just this portal, but all of this stuff that we're talking about. You know, when I come to meet Lance's teachers, I'd also love to be able to walk in and see that these are all the tools that are available to me and to him throughout the school year, and getting at the jump of school a comprehensive understanding of what's going to be available to me, how to log into it, how to utilize it, what the tools are, as opposed to I met the teacher and now next time I have to figure out what are the tools that are available. And then last time.
Are we ready for this?
Yes, well, not,
Right now?
this one is not ready to launch. This will not be ready to launch for a few months because as Mel said, this was something that came to our attention recently. We've been watching it for quite a while. It's something that we wanted, but the funding hasn't been made available. When we received our funding line items for the digital curriculum learning plans, our DCP money, we said we have got to find a way to pull some money out to get this covered. So Mel has been negotiating with them. We anticipate that this is probably going to go up in a few months, beginning of the year, January-ish timeframe when it becomes available to the students. In the meantime, something that Scott referenced earlier, retooling our media centers and our media specialists. Those are the kinds of things that we are working with them on so that they can provide a new wealth of resources, open some new doors, and share some of this information during the open house and during the welcome back. That is something that Mel and his crew have been working with our media specialists on. So we are working at opening up those avenues so that parents during open house can go to a session like this and understand what they have available for their students.
Okay, so let me ask it as a question to you guys and then Melba. I'm of the opinion that we would love to see that happen at open houses. Am I wrong?
I just want to make sure,
I'm
though,
I'd
that,
still be skeptical.
well,
Well,
what I,
depends on what you're asking. I mean, it wasn't clear yet. There's something that's not ready yet to be, but
Right.
there's something that is ready, and that is this, right? Correct? All right, so I think that what Tim's suggestion is that we at least engage the parents, staff engage the parents to get them to log in and just to see the parent portal. It's kind of valuable. We have a captive audience, and technology scares some people, so that could be the thing to
The
get
real
past.
question is, I mean, I don't wanna overwhelm parents, the real issue is, you know, you got a school with, let's say, 50 teachers, for the sake of argument. Out of those 50 teachers, only 15 are gonna use this. So, I mean, those teachers, maybe they would have something on hand, maybe they've got a computer set up in the classroom, so I'm gonna be using this and right with the handout with all the other stuff they want, boxes of tissues and Sharpies and all that. At the bottom it says, you're gonna be using this, go to this website, et cetera. So but I think for those teachers that have made the decision that this is gonna be something that they're going to be using in their instruction, I think in those schools, in those classrooms, yeah, I think it makes real value and real sense. But to do it just in the media center where maybe, you know, you got 10% of the teachers or 20% of the teachers in the whole school doing it, it may not make sense to do. That's what I'm thinking.
If I may.
what is available to parents and children at this time that we can share? We don't want to go all the way to this if we haven't even purchased any of it.
Correct.
So what is it that we do have that we can share? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and before you answer that, let me define what I'm actually talking about. We have these parents and guardians coming to our campuses on these selected dates because they're interested and they want to be engaged to some extent with their students' academic success over the next year. We host in the media center, the media specialists can do it, in theory, a presentation or 3 times during the night, a presentation on the different products and software that we are currently using, not anything that we haven't purchased or that we're talking about purchasing, that is available and that they can sit there and say, okay, look, you hand them a piece of paper and say you have access to OneNote, to Office 365, to Britannica, to MobiMax, to Discovery Ed, and they go, okay, great, I don't really know what that means. You bring them in and you show them, this is what Discovery Ed is, here's how you access it, and this is what it can do for your student, and you have a 5-minute demonstration of what it is, they go, oh, okay. Then when Susie comes home and says, well, I don't know how to do this, Mom's gonna say, remember we looked at Discovery Ed, let's go back and figure out what Discovery Ed is, pull that up and access it. MobiMax, the list goes on, and I just have to think that when we have all these parents coming to our campuses and digital learning is becoming such an important component, I could say as a parent, I don't wanna go and just meet the teachers, I wanna go and understand what's going to happen for my student this upcoming year and what's going to help me make sure. It's my responsibility to teach it. The school district's job is to come alongside of me and supplement the work that I'm already doing at home. So we need to make sure that these resources are readily known and available so that the adoption rate is higher, the utilization rate is higher, and then ultimately the gains that we're looking for can be realized.
I mean, to your point, I'd like to have parents say, why aren't we using this in your kid's classroom?
Well, fine, and that's fine too.
I could say something briefly, just not even a suggestion, just a point of thought. Because I go to these open houses, I've done it quite a few times as a parent. I can see the challenges that would present to try to go ahead and put this in. However, I think that what you're suggesting has great merit, and it may just require a separate event, different than the open house, a different day.
I'm not gonna get them back,
Well, hold on. Not for something like this, I mean, even on a Saturday or something, I mean, that we can, like if to me, a success would be accomplished if every parent signed up and logged in once. I mean, that would be successful. To get to where your point is, that would just be phenomenal. You know what I mean? Because, there is something, there's an adaptation issue that Jay Wheeler's talking about that I'm more concerned with the parent and with the teachers, because the teachers, we could just tell them do it. The parents are a little bit different, and we want them to get involved with this because of all the benefits that this brings. And by the way, just quickly, excellent work. I tell you, you guys presented well. The product it's on its face, it's excellent. It's Office 365. Parents, they're going to be using this for life. This is industry. It helps for career, technical, all of those things. I would like to see music and art and maybe languages added to these modules in the future. That would be awesome. We want to get parents excited about this. And so what I'm just for a thought is maybe something like this deserves its own event rather than putting it in with an open house.
I don't disagree with you. That's what we did last year with the academic fairs, though. That was the intent behind them, is to hold these events, invite people in and say, here are all the resources and opportunities available to you. And my concern, although that's a direction we're still going in, and I think it's the right direction for us as a district. Like it or not, historically, we are all, from the time I was a little guy and you we're all trained that we go to open houses. So you get your largest captive audience on that day. And getting them back for a Saturday, for a Thursday evening, for juice and cookie night, it's just more difficult. And I think that the greatest capture rate is going to be there. And the energy that these guys had in presenting, I have to imagine, happens all throughout this district with their media specialists. And having somebody in there that is excited about what this technology can do for these kids, and getting, I'm just making three up, but 3 sessions on the 9th is scheduled, and I walk in, by the way, here's your schedule for your child, and also we have 3 breakout sessions happening, one at 4:30, one at 5:30, one at 6:30. We'll do an overview of everything. I can go to all of them or none of them. I mean, look, I understand we're not going to get all 60,000 kids' parents engaged in this, but I think we can get a far higher number on those days than we're going to any other day of the year. And all of this conversation is surrounding how exciting this technology is, the amount of money that we're investing in it, the amount of time and expertise that gets poured into it. But ultimately, none of that matters if it's not being adopted, utilized, and driving instruction. So that becomes the key piece. We're sitting around going, wow, this is great. We love it. I want to see
an hour, too.
Yeah, I want the parents seeing that.
I think we've got to kind of said it a minute ago, but I really thought about this a lot in the last 2 days. It's almost like being a parent of a student's getting a little bit harder because there's so much more access. It's no longer they just bring home the book backpack with their 3 books in it, and there they are.
Right.
So how do we start really think outside the box? I hate that term, but really start thinking about, because parents are not engaged. Percentage-wise, parents are not engaged. How do we start
Have a second open house.
engaging? How do we start marketing to make, this is something you can market that's exciting, it's fun, I can grow tomatoes in 2 minutes? And how do you, I don't know the answer, but I think there's something out there, we need to do something different. I don't want to stop what we're doing, but maybe something different too, that we're not even thinking of.
I think that we can possibly create some kind of a schedule of some sort, because in reality, we have the open house. Jay, you mentioned about a second one. Many schools have a welcome back,
Yeah.
like in September
Yeah.
anyway.
Do
So,
any of the high schools?
so several schools
I
do
don't think high
them.
schools
Well, but we can recommend that. We have the academic fairs. We have days when parents come in to pick up report cards. I think that if we sat down and
Great
really
opportunities.
analyze the number of times that parents are brought in, we would be able to start with the open house and work our way through the entire year.
I think it's the right move, Melba. This is my opinion, and I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I personally, and I understand, open houses are being planned and all that, but we've got a month almost, right, before we open. I'd love to see this happen. I'd love to see parents coming across our campuses and walking in and having an opportunity to have first-person hands-on experience with this stuff, starting this year.
I don't know how you incentivize them, I don't know.
I still don't know how exactly you do it. I think it's a great idea. I don't know how you.
I think because I know, Ricky, because of your own experiences with your spouse, it's hard.
As a media specialist, yes, unless she was charged with that and given that ability to do that, but they had her doing all kind of other stuff.
Well, and those are the conversations that we would have with our administrators to say that day, that open house, the media specialist would be there, and possibly just run it a couple of times, as Tim said, big sign that says, come in and see, maybe through the marquee, anything that we have
And
to
utilizing
market
our-
it at that school during those hours.
Absolutely, and utilizing our teachers. We have pockets of teachers in our schools who are doing phenomenal work with this. And so if we can leverage them and have them assist us in getting this out, I didn't mean to imply earlier that this is the sole responsibility of media specialists.
Sure.
But it is definitely one of the areas that Mel and I have talked tremendously about over the past year, and that is how do we empower them so that they feel empowered to train teachers to bring more people into the fold so that they don't feel like it is their sole responsibility as the media person to do these kinds of introductions to parents and teachers.
Look, and the simplest way to put it is if the chairman of the school board has a student and doesn't know what some of these things are, then how many other parents in this district, and they're sitting at this table, also don't know what we have at our fingertips at times?
But there lies the crux of the problem here, and you're just repeating what Mr. Tacker said. So, it's just a question of, and I know you want to go ahead for efficiency, use the captured audience of the open house, and I think that's a good idea as well. I just don't know how much it can be accomplished. I think that's something that could be worked out and talked about. At the very least, an introduction.
Something.
If every parent that comes in at least logs in, or and that would be a good accomplishment. If we could do a little bit more than that, even better.
It is a crowded, busy
I know, but it's difficult.
place.
We
And
have
I
them-
agree,
We
and
have them
I've
signing up
done
for
them.
parent portal during
Alright.
those nights. We have some technology
think
going
that
on during those
we-
open houses.
So you can do something.
Right, we can do something.
Okay.
But we can do something several times throughout the year.
Of course, they're going to be given these.
Have each grade
This
level
is a parent.
put on a play that every student is in, right?
Oh.
And when you get all the parents there,
Yep.
then do this thing, right? Set that up at all the elementary schools.
It's one of the things, for all the reasons that Mr. Weishauer mentioned, many media specialists schedule book fairs for those events because they know that's when they're gonna get the biggest parent population.
great.
So
Thank you.
that's kind of,
You see, we add that to the list that I already have here.
that's in there.
We can find ways to get this out, and we can certainly work on this.
If I can just add one more thing. When I come to somebody who's maybe a resistant teacher, or maybe they're not interested in this, I go after the kids. Because I don't want those kids to not have what their teacher's not giving them. Once those kids start using it, they take that with them. Then the teacher goes, hold on, wait, how can I start leverage what they're doing on their devices here so that I'm using it also. We're raising, by showing this to one teacher, or one grade level at a time, multiple years, you're growing a whole student body that is learning this way. And if you're not a teacher that's keeping up, you're going to feel the pressure to also jump into these resources. So we've got that going for us. If I can't reach the, you know that parents, if you're a concerned parent, your kid's working on this is going to also pull you into that too. Hey, show me what you're doing there. So, like you said, the academic resources there, we did all three of those through the district, and we had parents that were like, oh my goodness, we had no idea this was here. This was fantastic. We had standing room only in all of those sessions, every single one of them. So the parents are thirsty for this, and I love the conversation you guys are having. But if you run into a roadblock, you got to figure out a way to get around that roadblock real quick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You said the theory of this is that a student could log on and it'll have the icons that are applicable to his situation. Do the parents have access to?
Parents?
They would have, yeah, they would have to.
So they could,
they
if
have
I'm
to
a
go
parent,
through
I can log on and,
You'd have to use your student's login.
okay, I'd have to go in, that's probably illegal.
No, it's not. You can do that.
If you have your own students, I mean, this was a real frustration for me. My son would come home, where is the password for your reading book or your science book? I don't have it, I didn't bring it. Well, let's get on Algebra Nation and do this. I forgot my password. So, there's no more excuses. If you have the single sign-on, everything is right there. It's there for the parent, and these passwords, the kids don't forget. They're single sign-on.
Right.
Was there anything additional you guys wanted to cover?
I think we're good. Thank you,
We
sir.
appreciate your time.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I love the conversation.
Good, thank you guys.
Can't wait to
Great
great
job.
ideas.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
passion and energy in the presentation.
Are we done
We
too?
have 15
Yeah, we
minutes
did.
to
Yeah,
take.
guys, we're done. We'll adjourn.
Cup of coffee.
Where you gonna get coffee at?
Our work.
We have our coffee machine.
You didn't know that?
Espresso machine or coffee?